Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to Tobago Updates Morning Show. I am your host, Renessa Ortiz, and it's always a pleasure to be on your screens on a morning. I'm joined in studio this morning by Alex Brown. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Renessa. Good morning, viewers. It's nice to be with you again.
It is the 30th of April 2026,
Stop
Alex.
smiling. Stop
I know this is your month,
Yes,
so
it
I'm
is.
going to allow you to bask in the day.
Yes, please allow us
Allow you to enjoy the ending of April
all of it.
all day.
All the April people. we're going to write down until April line.
Yes.
Line
Okay, I'll give you that. Viewers, before we head any further into our programming this morning, we head on over to news in 90 seconds. Your news in 90 seconds starts now for Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Justice has been served in a case that gripped the nation. 31-year-old Rishi Motilal, known as Cook Meat, has been sentenced to death for the 2024 slaying of his common-law wife, Tara Ramsarup, and their 14-month-old daughter. Justice Nalini Singh delivered the ruling following a judge-alone trial, dismissing Motilal's claims of provocation. The court heard the horrific details of the cutlass attack in Barrackpore, with the judge noting that Motilal's actions showed clear, calculated intent. A Plymouth fisherman is facing a major financial blow after his engine was stolen right off the jetty. The 39-year-old victim discovered his 75-horsepower Yamaha engine, valued at $60,000, missing from his 23-foot pirogue early Tuesday morning. He had secured the vessel on Monday afternoon, but thieves managed to strip the engine overnight. WPC Foster Bernard is leading the investigation, and the local fishing community is being urged to remain vigilant. And finally, great news for motorists. The Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation has expanded its online renewal service. If your Class 1 or Class 3 permit has expired for up to 5 years, you can now skip the lines and apply for a renewal via the MTCA website. This digital shift aims to slash wait times and reduce congestion at licensing offices nationwide. Just ensure you have all your documentation ready before logging on to mtca.gov.tt. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Tune in again at 6:30 p.m. for our major newscast. Alex, we're seeing quite a lot in the news in 90 seconds.
Quite a bit in 90 seconds.
And I know in the space right now especially is that sentencing for the double murder that occurred in 2024.
I can't tell you that I find pleasure in hearing the sentencing. I tell people I can't say I'm an advocate for the death penalty, but I'm also not one who is up for removal. I agree with those who claim that it is not a deterrent, but I'm not sure that it was ever intended as a deterrent. It was intended as a punishment for crime, for particular crimes, and if the punishment is due, then we should see the law through to its course. I think that we have to understand, and this is one of the reasons, in my view, why there's so much crime in this country. I have heard it out of people's mouths. They ain't hanging nobody again. And so because people believe that you can escape the penalty for criminal action, they feel emboldened. and it's one of the reasons why I said earlier this week, the issue is not about adding new laws to the books, it's about enforcing those that we already have. If people know and understand they are going to face the consequences for their actions, they may likely consider or reconsider certain actions. And I think this is one of the times where I'm not happy to say that we have to execute somebody, but if this is what the law demands for the actions that were taken, we just have to carry out the law.
And I'm hoping that in all this entire situation, the families of the deceased, that they get some sort of peace, because there's no amount of peace or justice that you could really get out of a situation, because your loved ones have already passed on. It doesn't bring them back. But we are hoping that this curbs something inside of them, that they got justice in this shape and form. And I was seeing the online permits renewal being expanded. Persons can go online.
Doesn't apply to me.
They can now renew their expired license online.
It's interesting. I think it's a step in the right direction generally, so that we can, as they put it, reduce wait times. There are some of us who just can't do with that. There are others who, and I always think of those, there are some in our society who are not as inclined to the technology as others are, and I'm hoping that we're not going to forget them in the haste to move
to digital.
I am hoping that we remember that there are those who aren't inclined to technology
and have that patience and courtesy in dealing with it. That is also another critical aspect of it, because I think with all of this, a lot of the people who are within these spaces who are dealing with the digital transformation, they are thinking about convenience and the new generation that is coming in, but we still have the older generation who still has to operate and function within society, and we need to remember to have that patience and courtesy, because there are times you go to institutions and these individuals are there waiting to be assisted because they really don't have the capacity to deal with the digital aspect of it, and you see service providers being agitated and impatient. So we need to remember this even with the shift that is coming.
Yes, we do. But for those who can, please take advantage of it and don't spend more of your time in lines than you have to. Take advantage of the digital portals that are available.
Dear viewers, we're going on to the celebratory segment of our morning. It's on to our birthday shout-outs this morning. First up on the lineup this morning, we have Carisan Modest. Happy birthday to you from us here at the Tobago Updates family. Wishing you a new year filled with prosperity, that you take this day to reflect and really think about the goals you want to achieve going forward in this year, and that God continues to richly bless you as you take your new journey around the sun.
And the next and the final one on the list is Amali Tijani. I like the direction you're looking in this picture, and I trust that today begins a year of continued forward and upward movement in your life. Pray that you really have a day that is blessed, one that you enjoy, one that is spent with those that you love and care for, those who love and care for you, and that this year is going to be one of grace and favor from the Almighty. Happy birthday to you.
I want to say happy birthday to those of you who did not send in your greetings this morning. Ensure that next time you do send your information to us here at Tobago Update so that we can celebrate with you. Now, Alex, what's in line for viewers this morning on the rundown?
Quite an interesting mix of activities this morning, of discussions this morning. We start with digital. Interesting, we're talking about that in news, and we're talking about a new digital payment system and stuff that is coming to Trinidad and Tobago. It's referred to as groundbreaking. So we'll talk about that this morning. Following that, we'll have some discussions on the recently passed THA Marine Park bill, and then we close the morning talking about the Tobago Jazz Music and Golf Weekend. Quite an interesting mix of discussions lined up for this morning.
I definitely agree with you, especially when we're talking digital transformation. We're looking forward to seeing how we're going to be incorporating those in the generation before myself. I can't say you, Alex, but before myself, and how they plan to ensure that this is rolled out effectively and efficiently, and also inclusive for those.
as many in the society
Yes,
as is possible.
possible. Viewers, we want you to stay right here. We want to thank those of you joining us on YouTube, Facebook, AMPLIA, Flow, Digicel. We want to say thank you for making Tobago Update your #1 station. Up next, we have Jason Lett, manager of National Pigmented Innovation Company of Trinidad and Tobago, and we're talking about driving digital payments and innovation in Trinidad and Tobago. Stay tuned, and remember to
Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Looking for office attire or worship apparel, then come to Tia's Classic Closet. Shopping for casual clothing or just want to dress down. Big discount, so it's you on clothing and comfortable shoes. Get some wonderful accessories to match your attire. Come to Tia's Classic Closet at 39 Montgomery Road. Opening hours daily from 9:30 to 5:30. For more information, call 710-168-99999.
Are you ready, Tobago, for the BHS Centennial Raffle Live Draw? 10 amazing prizes, one unforgettable evening. Join us this Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. live on the Rotunda at the Esplanade in Tobago. Catch the action live on Tobago Updates wherever you are. Who will take home the grand prize? It could be you.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. You know, every loan wants to prove more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, let your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice, you know.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to Tobago Updates Morning Show. As promised before the break, we're talking to Justin Lett, manager of National Pigmented Innovation Company of Trinidad and Tobago. And we're talking about driving digital payments and innovation in Trinidad and Tobago. He's joining us virtually. Good morning and welcome to you. Mr. Lett? We're having a bit of technical difficulties. We're just going to head to a short break and we'll be right back with this conversation for you.
Trinidad is my home, and I always say charity begins at home. So I'm just delighted to bring this team of dedicated volunteers. Part of our motto is that we just don't send relief. We hand deliver it with care and compassion. And as I would always tell my team, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. We're deepening our commitment to the region, continuing to invest in the networks, services, and digital solutions that move Caribbean businesses forward. Whether you are a mid-sized business or multinational player, we bring you resilient connectivity, personalized service, and tailored IT solutions, all powered by local teams that truly have your back. We're here to help you navigate challenges, grow, and achieve your goals with practical solutions, reliable networks, and a partnership rooted in trust and your long-term success. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back. We're continuing our conversation this morning with Justin Led, Manager of Innovation of the National Pigmented Innovation Company of Trinidad and Tobago. My apologies. And we're talking about driving digital payments and innovation in Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning and welcome back to you, sir. I'm not sure if your mic is muted. Can you double check for me? I'm not hearing you. Still not hearing you, sir. I'm sorry. Okay, viewers, we're going to head back to a short break and we'll come back after this break. Hoping that that technical difficulty is sorted so that we can continue this conversation with you this morning.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Are you ready, Tobago, for the BHS Centennial Raffle Live Draw? 10 amazing prizes, one unforgettable evening. Join us this Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. live on the Rotunda at the Esplanade in Tobago. Catch the action live on Tobago Updates wherever you are. Who will take home the grand prize? It could be you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to you, Justin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
It's great to finally hear your voice.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to all your viewers that are looking on right now.
So we're talking about digital transformation. But before we get into that, we want you to tell us a little bit about the National Pigmented Innovation Company of Trinidad and Tobago. Tell us some of its visions and goals and how it started.
So the National Payments and Innovation Company was set up by the government of Trinidad and Tobago as a state agency that is now the enabler for digital payments and innovation across government and nationally. So we were set up really to expand a solution or a service that has existed for some years, which is court pay, where folks would have been able to, citizens would have been able to make payments to the court for various services remotely without having to go to the court and make the payment. So the government saw that as a great initiative, and that was expanded now across all governments. So National Payments and Innovation Company of Trinidad and Tobago is responsible for all digital payments and digitizing payments across government.
Now, when we talk about digitizing payments, we talk about convenience for citizens, and not just in terms of the government also having a form of digital footprint where they can track some of these payments. One of the main concerns when it comes to digital payments is security. Tell us a little bit about that, if there is things in place or measures in place that are also being implemented with this rollout and this expansion.
Absolutely. The digital payment solutions that are offered nationally and within the National Payments and Innovation Company is bank-grade security. And when you hear that in the industry, you know that it's the highest standard. It's set to international standards, to the same standards that you would to plug into any international e-commerce site and enter your card details. We measure against the same standards here locally.
You're saying that it's the same standard that we use. We've had, unfortunately, in Trinidad and Tobago, not necessarily the best record of keeping things that are new and innovative stable. How has the rollout been going so far? Has the testing been proving stable? I know all of it is not just in your hands. We know we depend on services from other providers. But how has it been so far in terms of stability and the government in itself? Because that too presents a challenge often in terms of the rate at which the accounting systems in government work. How does this translate to really improving the time or the efficiency with which this goes?
All right, so I'll take the two parts of the question. In terms of the rollout and the security, as mentioned, the system that is being used is one that has been in government and in the national space for some time, since around 2019. And it was, significantly expanded even during COVID, where you can pay, whether it's child maintenance, all these different services that would have you'd now have to go into the court itself. You would have been able to do so via terminals, via a number of outlets. So because it has existed for some time, that sort of initiation phase and testing phase would have passed. So we're able to now just expand it across different services. For example, very soon, and it's interesting that you were speaking to this earlier, the Ministry of Transport is set to roll out digital payments for even, things like traffic tickets, fines, and some of the other services, the certified copy, and all those payments would able to be done now digitally and remotely. So from the convenience of your home, you would soon be able to just log in to your computer, to your phone, and be able to make those payments. And we set to see those types of payments expand throughout government.
You kind of started answering the other question, expansions. I'm trying to remember the name of the program where you could have done this initially, how it started. The name is just eluding me. But we had electronic systems and the NIB and the BIR were part of that. Is this part of your current operations, or is it part of the expansion plan?
It's part of the expansion plan. I know that what has happened is that a lot of these payment services were fragmented within government ministries and government agencies. So one of the roles and mandates of National Payments and Innovation Company is really to streamline and consolidate all those payment streams so that the government is able to see that in one space. So different ministries, different departments, agencies would be able to now streamline their payment services from wherever it was before into this one consolidated space.
Consolidation is everything. I'm still a little bit troubled in terms of detail. One of the things we see happening with some operators in the e-commerce space is what I call clearing. So payments may be made. You as the end user may have applied payments, but the person who is supposed to receive payments, the entity receiving the payments, have not done their end of clearing. So reconciliation becomes a bit challenging for you. I have a peeve with our government system, because if I owe the government taxes, there's a specific rate that is calculated every day for my late payment. That doesn't exist for when the government owes me a refund, but that's another discussion. How do we treat with the clearing not being done on time and the risk of my now having to face penalties because I do what I was supposed to do, but there's clearing? So how does the clearing part of it work? How has it been working so far?
That's a nice question. So again, what this does is that it allows for near real-time processing. So just to give you a sort of example from the technical side, if you have a expiry date before you have to make the same payment on a traffic ticket, they give you 14 days or 30 days or whatever it may be, and you are now on the last day, at the last hour, whenever that payment is recorded, the same time it's recorded on your end, the Ministry of Transport would also see that reflecting. Even though the funds may not be settled in their account at the same real time, they are now going to see that record, and that record on both ends, as the end user, the citizen, and on the ministry side, would be proof that the payment was made in that specific time. So those sort of real-time effects would treat exactly what you're speaking of.
Okay.
Now, there's the Caribbean First AI integration using WhatsApp. What exactly is this program, and how does it work, and why was it essential for WhatsApp specifically to be used as part of the platform?
Yeah, definitely. So we spoke about, the payment side of the National Payments and Innovation Company, but we also have the innovation side. And with the innovation side, our goal is to create and develop innovations, but also to partner with innovative firms and startups to be able to do or bring technologies and innovations to the citizenry. So we partnered with a company called Acciones, who would have created, as mentioned, the Caribbean's first AI agent. And it was built into WhatsApp. Why? Because we're not asking citizens to download another app. WhatsApp is already on every phone in Trinidad and Tobago, so we put AI there. The concept of it is really, an AI personal assistant. And I implore everybody to go with citizentt.ai. You could log in, and once you enter your information, it pretty much comes up as a friend, as a personal assistant right there in your WhatsApp, and you're able to navigate different things as it relates to information, but also tasks. We've seen in terms of the use cases, students using it for assistance for homework. We're able to see, elderly people using it to get information on illnesses they may have or some medication, and they want to ensure if it's the right effect. And it's right there in WhatsApp, like if you're chatting with somebody that you already know. So that was the concept behind putting such a thing within that. And again, WhatsApp in itself as a platform has its own encryption and security. So as opposed to creating another app where we now need to worry about all those features, it's embedded already in there.
You mentioned WhatsApp and its encryption, and another security issue came to mind. Recently, we had the regrettable situation where 14 people made some transfers for a vacation stay in Tobago at a place that did not exist. I'm not sure that we can prevent people from being cruel in terms of coming up with these schemes, but how does this new development aim to protect against people who would want to probably pretend to be government agencies? We've had people pretending to be agents of the government. Recently, we had the police and the Housing Development Corporation telling us to beware. How does this system look at people who may want to impersonate or to pretend to be agents of the state and receive payments? Can we be comfortable knowing that there is protection against this?
So in terms of security protection, one of the challenges with what you're speaking of is what we call social engineering. And social engineering is something where, you have these sort of impersonations, and so it's not really a technical or security issue on the surface. What it is really that human issue. So a part of what we do on our mandate is also to facilitate education. And education drives in order to allow people to have that sort of information that they can now do what is right within their own space. So if they get the information, they know how to check to ensure that it's authentic, it's actually the right people, the right entities, that sort of thing.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about accessibility. When it comes to individuals who are deemed as technologically unsavvy, how easy is it for use of this program?
So again, as I mentioned, and one of the things that we would have recognized, and the reason why WhatsApp was also considered, is that, people talk about, the elderly or who may not be technologically savvy. But one of the things you'd recognize is that even those said persons send you a good morning message or some sort of nice quote or share something with you, whether it be my parents or even grandparents. So we recognize that within the WhatsApp space, as I mentioned, rather than going to download something new and having to learn this tool, the tool is as simple as chatting with a friend. So it's very interactive. You could send voice notes, you'll get voice notes back. You could share images, and it will be able to give you the relevant information and data from that. So it's really that sort of breaking down those barriers of the technological savviness that it would be required for something that is so advanced.
You mentioned the inclusiveness of the intent of this thing. I'm not sure that this directly impacts on you in terms of the development side of things, but one of the challenges we face, especially when you're further away from the commercial centers, as it were, is access to stable internet provision. Is this part of your mandate in terms of working towards improving the access to internet? Because one of the things that people are going to face, and it's a bigger challenge for probably those who are less inclined to technology is the stability or the instability of internet access. Is this part of what you have to work on, or is this somebody else's responsibility and you will just have to climb it on?
Right. So not directly within our mandate, but within our stakeholders, you're absolutely correct. It would make less sense for the government and others to continue moving in the direction of creating these sort of services for accessibility and for convenience. But yet, the basic method of connecting to these services don't exist. So we continue to work with the ISPs. We continue to work with the service providers that provide it. Looking at different programs. Currently, we know that there's the Wi-Fi on the buses. So you have certain areas where these things would be accessible for someone that may not be able to have data on their phone or may not have it at home. So the goal is really to drive as much of access to these things as possible. But you're right, we definitely work with our stakeholders and our partners to see how best we can get that done.
Now we're talking about digital payments. We also need to consider our businesses here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I know recently Carnival just wrapped up and there was the flavor food market, which was a major highlight. What role did the company play in making this experience smoother for vendors and patrons?
Yeah, so what the national payments did there is enable card payments on a number of local vendors. Over about 5 weeks leading up to Carnival, we would have installed terminals at the different booths within the Flavor Village in terms of the food market, and ensure that they were able to, one, access a form of payment that they would not have been able to access before, and two, cut down, the cash handling risk and speed up service. So for many of those vendors, it was the first time they ever accepted a card payment. That's the digital economy showing up in a real way, not just in the boardroom or in a conversation or in a ministry decision, but at a food stall, being able to see it in real time. And what we experienced from those vendors or got feedback is that during the Carnival period, what usually happens is that you have a lot of tourists that will come in that may not know to walk with cash. They may have the expectation in 2026 that they should be able to just take out their card and be able to pay. And a lot of those vendors would have normally lost those businesses or those business if they didn't have and until they had this sort of enablement in terms of the cash payment. So over the 5 weeks, those vendors were able to accept close to $250,000, I believe is the number. Again, that may have been lost service and lost business.
All right, unfortunately, Mr. Lett, that's all the time we have. It goes by so quickly when we're dealing with these matters that we so much enjoy. We want to thank you for sharing with us, and certainly we look forward to your coming and talking with us again as this expansion takes place and we're able to do more and more in terms of digital payments here in Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks again for what you do. Thanks for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Most welcome. And viewers, that's where we leave that discussion. We head to a break. When we come back, we talk to Terence Pitt, tour guide operator, and we're talking the recently passed in the Tobago House of Assembly Marine Park Bill. We head to a break. Stay with us, and during the break, remember to share the live,
share the live, share the live.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Looking for office attire or worship apparel, then come to Tia's Classic Closet. Shopping for casual clothing or just want to dress down. Big discount, so it's you on clothing and comfortable shoes. Get some wonderful accessories to match your attire. Come to Tia's Classic Closet at 39 Montgomery Road. Opening hours daily from 9:30 to 5:30. For more information, call 710-168-99999.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. You know, every loan wants to prove more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans. Let your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice, you know.
Trinidad is my home, and I always say charity begins at home. So I'm just delighted to bring this team of dedicated volunteers. Part of our motto is that we just don't send relief. We hand deliver it with care and compassion. And as I would always tell my team, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
This is not acceptable. We, the boat owners, the users of the Bookery space, has been calling time after time for the reef patrols. Right? Because after the unfortunate situation that took place in Pigeon Point, that resulted into the loss of a child, then we are seeing on a daily basis one reef patrol boat. And we have been calling for reef patrol boats prior to the incident, and we have not been receiving any. And this is why. Because all the reef patrol boats are remaining to rot. And I want the general public to see this. And I want the people of Trinidad and the people of Tobago.
Viewers, welcome back. As promised before the break, we're talking the Marine Park Bill. We're happy to have with us this morning Mr. Terence Pitt, boat captain, tour guide, and reef tour operator. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, sir. Morning. Nice to have you. Nice to have me.
Thank you for coming. We started with what for any viewer would certainly be a distressing video. And tell us why you thought doing this video was necessary in the scheme of things as they exist now.
So I have to say good morning to all viewers, and nice for having me here. When we've been calling on the administration for many years that let us come together and we want to improve on safety in the Bookery space, because we saw that there's a big absence of the authorities in the Bukuri space, right? And when we made several calls, we haven't got no feedback, no correspondent. And we ask ourselves why, right? Then after the tragic incident that happened, then we see now one reef patrol boat very active up and down the place now. And that is like, you know, we angry. Because you know why? These things cannot be prevented if we have took the necessary action that the reef patrol come out and do the job. So as an absence of the authorities doing the job is why a lot of things is looking like lawless. It looking like if we are not compliance, you know, it making us look bad. As we are the service providers, we are the #1 tourist providers on the island of Tobago. And we see it fit that there have been 1 or 2 incidences where the emergency services took a rather long time to come. And we was like, how in our capacity we could improve on these, like if something mishap, if something do happen, how could you respond? Because it's life we are dealing with. And once you're dealing with water, it boils down to a couple of minutes. And I have been in situations where I actually feel helpless because we could only do what in our power. And we call in on the authorities to come out. And when I see all these boats there just sitting there, rotting down, it will hurt me. Because I want the best for my island. And I live by the Boko Reef. And I know how important it is for people's safety. And I just feel let down by the authorities why they should leave all these boats to rot when these boats play a very important role and function in the Boko Reef space.
I have a question for you. We're talking about the authorities' role in terms of legislation and enforcement, but now sometimes we also have to look at the responsibility of the service providers. And in some of the videos that we are seeing online, we are seeing where individuals spoke about when there are tragedies and incidents that occur. You guys are some of the first responders there. Now, in recent times, the Tobago, is it Water and Trails Association, Alex? Yes. They're recently forming an association. Are you a member of this association?
No, it's news to me.
This is news to you. Okay. But some of the things that they mandate to do is to ensure that all service providers are working within alignment with what is required in the law and working closely with the authorities. In the event of such tragedies, they also have protocols and training in place. Right? So if this association is being built based on the vendors and the service providers that are within the tourism space that works within these marine parks, isn't that something that all members that work within this space who says that they feel unfair or they are feeling as though the authorities are putting a hard hand on them, wouldn't this be something that yourself and other individuals would like to be a part of to ensure that?
Yes, we welcome any kind of assistance. We welcome any assistance because we made certain recommendations to the authorities when coming to training, when coming to how we could best improve ourselves. So we're not saying that we are the best at what we do and we want to remain as we are. We want to improve because we have established that the Tobago space is not like a secret anymore. We are competing with the global market. So we have tour operators among ourselves who travels and who come back with loads of ideas, and sometimes we want a place where we could, where we could put these ideas into work. But every time we go to the authorities to say, because we might be doing things a little outdated, because sometimes when you look at when an incident happen, you see how they respond. You might see how the lifeguard, most of the time they might be in shock. You might see people just, we look at things how we could improve, right? And we welcome any help we can get because we are not getting it from the authorities.
I want to probably stay along the party because you mentioned Tobago no longer being a secret and what happens. Sometimes I wonder whether we have the fullest appreciation for that, because some of the commentary that is placed for public consumption, sometimes I wonder whether we understand the impact of that internationally. And I'm not saying that we should not comment, but a video like the one we saw, for example, when that hits the internet, it does not go away. Do you think that it does long-term good, or does it do long-term harm in terms of the international community seeing this and saying, no, this is not something we want to be a part of? Or do you see it as something that is going to say, I want to go to Tobago where this is happening?
All right. Well, that is a very good point you're making there, right? And we have to look at communication. Whereas we do not have a way to communicate with the authorities, which is not supposed to be like that. Because tourism is not, or we are not alone in tourism, the authorities as well in tourism. So you pick up your phone, you try to contact them, they're not answering you. So it's like, how can I get my message out there? And I find that when you use social media, we get to understand now that social media is a powerful tool. Sometimes it will work for the good, it will work for the bad. Is no video or no message could go out there that will please to everyone, right? So the social media sometimes work as a form of getting your message out there to the authorities. It's the only way of communicating with the authorities, which is bad. We would like to do things in-house, right? I would like to see that if I have a concern or I have a problem, I could just pick up my phone and just reach out to someone in authority. But we do not have that communication. So it's a breakdown of communication, not by my fault or anyone. It's just the authorities need to find a way of means to communicate with us. It is our communication we want in our communication.
Now, when we speak to the marine parks bill, there's also an aspect of it that speaks to conservation. Now, you mentioned there are operators that travel and they see the world and they come back and they look at some of the outdated things that we have. But when we also look at globally and internationally as well, when it comes to the natural resources, they are also very strict with how they engage with not only the tour operators, but also the tourists as well.
Yes.
Now, in the Marine Park Bill, there is a penalty that goes up to about 100,000 TT and jail time. And there may be individuals who are saying that it is unfair. But when it comes to the conservation of what is our tourism product and what tourists come to see here in Tobago, do you still believe that that fine is unjust?
Well, to be honest, no operator in the bookery space will ever be charged with that fine. None. Because when coming to conserving and protecting of the environment, we are the front runners in that. Because every ticket that I sell to the public or display has that written on it, the protection and the conservation. We put that on every ticket that is sold. So not like we're waiting for the authorities to do that. We do that as part of our sales as well.
I want you to push that question a little further. You're saying nobody will be charged.
That works with us.
That works with you.
No, that works with the tourism
that
product.
Works in the industry.
Yeah, no jet ski operators, no boat operators.
Because you
no
are
vendors.
so certain that you operate that way.
Yeah.
If that is the fact, how did the park become what it has become? We've seen a lot of damage being done to the Buku Reef itself. So if the operators have been so conscientious, how did we reach the level of degradation that particularly Buku Reef has reached?
Right. When we look at how the condition in Buku Reef reached, right? When last have you been to the Gibson Jetty?
It's been a few years.
A few years, you see? So sometimes I ask myself if I could continue with my deliberation, right? Now, the Gibson Jetty falls in the remit of the Bonaccord Lagoon, right? And in the Bonaccord Lagoon, we have what we call the mangroves, right? And if we all know the role and function of the mangroves, what they do the mangroves operate as a buffer in case of act of God, right? It also acts as a desal. It converts salt water into fresh water, right? It also what it also does, it also tans the coral, give the coral a level of protection. Like if you go to the sun, we get burned as well, and we don't put on that sunscreen, we will get sunburn. So the mangrove does that tanning for the corals. So if you look at the corals in the Boko Reef area, especially Coral Garden, you'll see we have a lot of bleaching taking place, right? And the reason why that is happening in our space is because that same jetty I'm talking about, the Gibson jetty in the Bonaccord Lagoon, we have a lot of environmentalists in Tobago. We have a lot of people saying they are the number one front runners for environment and saving Tobago. But, they have cut down loads of these mangrove trees, and now
that's a travesty, because in addition to all you've said, it also provides safe spawning ground for a number of species.
Correct. So
that's really a horrible thing to have not been there for a while. But I wanted to address specifically, though, not just the bleaching, because I know a lot of the bleaching too is contributed by improper surface water management.
Right.
But there's also a lot of physical damage that has taken place over the years, and that was the direction of my question.
Right. So I'll just finish what I was saying, right? That by cutting down all these mangrove trees, now from the Bonaccord Lagoon is no longer the Bonaccord Lagoon. It's just a skeleton of what it is. It's called a lagoon cove. They cut down all these mangrove trees, and they come to a house spot now in the Tobago space that nobody's talking about. So I want to know if I'm the only person in Tobago seeing what is being done to the environment. I ask myself that question on a daily basis. Am I the only person in Tobago seeing that some contractor cut down all these mangrove trees and put in house spots? And the same THA, the same administration are silent on that. And that is creating more destruction than any jet ski, that any boat could physically do. Right?
Now, based on all that we've discussed this morning, and as it relates to the Marine Parks Bill and the reservations or the concerns that the operators had in terms of no stakeholder engagement, as you have mentioned, no communication on their part, what do you believe would have sufficed for the operators, or what do you think would have been necessary, or what would you have liked to see in the bill?
Right. In the Marine Park Bill, when we talk layman terms, in the Boko Reef space, all we have there is captains, tour operators, tour guides. We have no lawyers among us, right? So the first time I see the bill is a couple of days ago, and we among ourselves are going through this bill, and it causing confusion amongst our own self because we cannot interpret law, right? So if the chief secretary was very reasonable, he should understand that we don't have law among us. She should have a kind of way to come and communicate better with us, right? Because when this proposed piece of legislation was brought to us, there was no consultation. No one came to the table, sit down with us, and explain to us what is coming up, what is coming next. No one came to us and say, hey, what is your input or what you think, right? Because this, on paper, it looks very well, but I have one or two little clauses that I, with my little capacity, pulled out, that I see that on paper the bill looks maybe well, but practically it will cause a little problem in the long run.
Unfortunately, Mr. Pitt, that's all the time we have, but we hear you loud and clear.
Thank you.
Your biggest challenge is that of communication, and we are sure that the authorities are listening, so they know what they have to do in terms of that. In terms of the way forward, we want to recommend, because we did have some recommendations for the Tobago Water and Trail association. It's a newly formed association. Reach out to them, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Alfred, and join the working together, because they too are trying to get the operators together, all the operators, not just tours and all reef boats and that kind of thing. Reach out to them, work together, so that the more of you that work together, the better a product Tobago ends up with. And our marine space will serve us well, and certainly will serve future generations. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and certainly all the best.
Okay.
Viewers, that's where we leave this one for this morning. We take a short break. When we return, we talk the Tobago, jazz music, and the golf weekend. Stay with us during the break. Remember, share the life, share the life, share the life.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Looking for office attire or worship apparel, then come to TS Classic Closet. Shopping for casual clothing or just want to dress down. Big discounts awaits you on clothing and comfortable shoes. Get some wonderful accessories to match your attire. Come to TS Classic Closet at 39 Montgomery Road. Opening hours daily from 9:30 to 5:30. For more information, call 710-168-99999.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to Tobago Updates morning show. Before the break, we spoke about Tobago jazz music and golf weekend, and we're having that conversation with Kerrigan Roach and Sheldon Roach, directors of this event, and they're joining us virtually this morning. Good morning and welcome to you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you virtually joining us. So this isn't just a concert, it's a full weekend experience. Just walk us through the different elements in terms of music, golf, and everything in between.
All right, so our weekend starts Friday morning with golf at Magdalena. We have a golf tournament on the morning. That leads into Friday evening at Sin Romana. We have a Back in Times party, which is a cooler event, $200 a ticket, which is going to be a wonderful night. We have some live entertainment also at that cooler event. Then that takes us to our main show on Saturday at Beachfront Jazz at Magdalena Grand. A fantastic concert. We have some great artists: Dr. Jasmine Jen, Terrence Shaw, Ron Reed, Carol Warner, Letitia Sylvester, Terry Lyons, and Gerard Belfort. That promises to be a wonderful day, a wonderful experience for everyone. That is a drinks inclusive event, right? And then on the Sunday, we have our Jazz Under the Stars at Fairways Restaurant. So you have a full weekend of entertainment in Tobago this weekend.
You spoke a lot about the jazz side of it, but it's a jazz and golf weekend. Tell us some more about the golfing side of it. What kind of activities are we looking forward to in terms of the golf side of it?
So our golf tournament is really a fun event. Lots of exciting things that will be going on the course. What the golf also allowed us to do is to reach out to assist and to aid people. So this year we'll be donating a wheelchair to a child in need in Tobago, and we'll be doing that presentation after the golf tournament on Friday. Right. Again, that golfing day is just an opportunity. Come out, enjoy yourself for a great day. The weather has been wonderful in Tobago all week, and we expect tomorrow will be the same. So come out there, lots of prizes, lots of entertainment. Come out and have a great day of golf at Magdalena.
Now let's talk a little bit about logistics. Where can individuals get tickets if they're interested in attending this weekend?
Yeah. Well, tickets are available at Cache, Lowlands Mall, where it's also available at the Hotel Magdalena. And also you can get tickets at Gencare Day Spa, which is at Mount Uven.
Now, what are some of the challenges in putting an event together like this now? I know planning an entire weekend of events has its own sets of logistics, certain challenges that you would have had to overcome. Can you share a bit about that with us?
The putting together an event, a couple of years ago when the chief secretary said that he is, coming out of hosting the Tobago Jazz Experience, we decided to step up. And say, okay, because we were doing at that time we did another similar type of event of Jazz on the Beach. So we decided to try to fill that void. We cannot do anything to the extent of Tobago Jazz experience at this point in time, but we are slowly building. And I think we have literally a 3 to 5 year plan, which will see us bringing ourselves back and having Tobago back on the map in a full scale, like what you had in the previous years.
Brings me to sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but to do an event like this, we will focus in on the Saturday event, which is the beachfront jazz. But if you are inviting people across to this beautiful island, why bring them for a one-day event? So we decided, look, let's try to expand the whole thing and put, let's say, the experience together where persons could come and have a wonderful weekend of activities for the entire family. We added the golf simply because what we found in the past was jazz is a kind of predominantly female and literally a older clientele or patron. So why not try to marry sports tourism and the entertainment tourism? I think the jazz and the golf was a good mix because it brings together persons within the same demographic, age-wise, culturally, and so on. The thing about the golf, many of our friends, the wives go to the jazz. Yes, but the husbands don't come. So one way of capturing that family experience is to bring in the golf, where the guys will sit down. Some of them may literally spend the entire 2 or 3 days on the golf course and come to the events on the evening after hours. So that is what we are trying to do. We partnered also with Fairways so that we can cool down after the Friday events and Saturday events. So Fairways agreed to come on board, and Stacey has been wonderful for the last, I think it's 3 years, coming on board with us and assisting us by offering a cool down activity. More jazz. This time she has a wonderful lineup, which no one should miss. So it's a full weekend of activities. And again, trying to capture and make this an experience for anyone who wants to come across and partake in some of the events.
Tell us in probably 20 seconds, if you can, your 3 to 5 year plan, does that include reaching out to probably other partners in the hotel industry or other areas in Tobago to expand the event, because it's difficult for one group or so to bring this event back to what your objective is. Does it include reaching out to other operators in Tobago who might want to partner to expand the offerings for the weekend?
Of course. We've already partnered with Stacey at Fairways. I think that was a good synergistic type of model, and we are continuing to follow that. For instance, the Back in Time event, the old school event, we have one person who has done a number of events in Tobago on board with us, and she has agreed to partner with us on it. And so we are expanding that also. Where we see this thing going is literally, who knows, expand to a Thursday to Sunday type of weekend. And we are literally enthusiastic to partner with other local and also even international promoters in making this weekend activity a worldwide. We are competing against a number of other similar type activities in Barbados and Lucia. Matter of fact, all the islands have some form of jazz or world music festival. We need to bring Tobago back to where it was 10 years ago with Tobago Jazz Experience. So we are, our 5-year plan will include that and bring it to literally a world-class audience, expanding the types of artists we invite, expanding the giving from the cultural things that we are offering, the foods. And by the way, we do have everybody on board here. The artisans, the food caterers and the vendors are all Tobagonian. And we see it expanding for the island. This would belong to the island. You have one of the best golf courses in the Twin Island state. So we are going to use that and to make sure that we attract. Right now we are attracting a small cadre of external golfers from the US and also one or two from the Caribbean islands. But we're looking to make sure that has expanded and to include a lot more persons from the diaspora, really and truly, to come back. Same way, in a similar vein that they come back for your November Carnival. That is what we are trying to achieve here also.
Okay, and as we wrap up this morning, gentlemen, I just want you to remind those who are looking on the dates, the time, where they can get tickets as we wrap this interview.
Okay, so tickets are available, as we said earlier, at Cache Lowlands, Cache in Tobago, Gencare at Mount Irvin Hotel, right? And also at the venue at Magdalena, you'll be able to get tickets. Come on the island, tickets will be available. We will, go to our website, TobagoJazzMusicWeekend.com. You will see all the additional information there, contact numbers for us. Reach out to us. Many people have been calling and meeting us and getting the tickets. Go to the website, get your information, give us a call. You have Magdalena for tickets, Cache and Gencare in Mount Irvin. And we are ready to entertain you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We wish you all the best going forward. And in your 3 to 5 year plan, that you continue to accomplish all that you want to in terms of the Tobago Jazz Weekend product. Viewers,
thank you very much for having us.
Viewers, this has brought us to the end of the Tobago Updates morning show programming. But up next, we have GMT. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
about opportunities on the energy industry.
The presentation was very interactive, and I think it was well received by the students. Some of the issues were some of the things that I've been teaching, especially in my class, and I'm glad that most of the students here have been exposed to a wider range of what they could pursue in careers.
I was very intrigued. I loved the presentation. I was very interested in what they had to say. I'm thinking about changing my career right now, right? I think the children, they would have received it pretty good because, I mean, they were quite energetic when it comes to answering questions and stuff, and they loved the prizes as well. I'm hoping that they would have received the information and they would go home and actually do the research. They would think about it, and, you know, they would make the best of the opportunities given.
Today we introduce the students to basically the energy industry from a holistic perspective, from how we search for oil and gas, how we get out of the ground, what we do with it when we get out of the ground, the value it brings to the country basically, and how they themselves could find themselves in the oil and gas industry.
The students were very engaging. We tried to keep the session informal, and I think this really kept them at ease. They were answering our questions, they retained information quite well, and they also, afterwards, I had students coming up to me asking me follow-up questions on how they can get into the field. Altogether, I would say our Tobago experience with our secondary schools was very beneficial to the students, and we hope to see them in our energy industry in the future.
You could find more information about the energy outreach and energy education that we do on the Society of Petroleum Engineers Trinidad and Tobago social media websites, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Those are the main platforms, and also the Ministry of Energy's website.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
So the seminar today is on sheep production. It's a very broad topic, but we've divided it into 3 sections. We have health and diseases, we have farm management, and we have nutrition. And we decided on those 3 things because those are the main areas in which farmers struggle. We have farm management on a whole, how they breed the animals, what they select for, because a big complaint with farmers is that the genetic pool in Tobago is very limited. So in the presentation today, I have showed them how to select for what you want and to increase the genetics of your stock.
The seminar today was very informative. I learned about how you should feed your sheep, your goats, how to take care of them, how to avoid things like parasites, and the information coming from a vet itself would definitely help in alleviating some of the problems and the stress that you will get from doing things on your own.
As I'm now going into something different, I decided to attend so that I could get more knowledge on what I need to do and do it the correct way.
Because there were things that I thought I was doing right, and the veterinary, the vet, she shed a different light on it completely. You understand? It was very enlightening. And I think it's something that any and everybody should be exposed to.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger.
Good morning, and welcome back. Good morning, Tobago, right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, we just want to let you know that this morning we'll be chatting with Mr. Giovanni Thomas, who is from the Castara Village Council, as well as Petal Ann Roberts, Councillor Petal Ann Roberts, who is the Secretary for the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy. First up this morning, we have Mr. Giovanni Thomas, who is the PRO of the Castara Village Council, and we're jumping straight into our conversation about some water issues taking place within the Castara districts, whereby residents were seen protesting yesterday and blocking the roads. Good morning, Mr. Thomas, and welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and it's a pleasure being here this morning. I'm Giovanni Thomas, and I'm the Public Relations Officer of the Castara Village Council.
Excellent. Now, we saw posted on social media yesterday, even by the Chief Secretary on his social media via Instagram, that there was a protest that happened in Castara. He was there on the ground present, and we saw that WASA was on the ground in Castara yesterday as well. Tell us a bit about the severity of this water shortage issue within the district, and how long has it been happening?
So most recent, it was about approximately 2 weeks where there were no water in taps, and I would say it was very severe because not only do we have to think about the agriculture and the fishing and the tourism industry, but we have to take into consideration that as young as some of the people may be who could always go to the waterfall to have a quick shower, there are also elderly people living here who at times may have nobody to call on, and I think that they would have been impacted in a very harsh way.
Right. How long has this water situation been happening in the Castara area?
To put an exact timeline on it would be hard, but I would say over a year.
And this culmination, why do you think it has gotten to the point the protest is taking place? What has caused it to get to this point? Has there been a particular incident, or is it just that the tensions have boiled over and the persons with that village can no longer deal with the current water situation?
Yes, I'd like to think that it was something that they could bear no more of, and as people that say, who in the kitchen does feel the heat. So I think it came to that situation where the people decide, look, we can't handle this anymore, and if this is some way that we can let our frustration or we can be heard, I guess then was the situation.
Understood. And we saw that the Chief Secretary was on the ground in Castara yesterday among the residents during this time. Has anything come out of that? What is the feedback from the Chief Secretary as it pertains to improvement in the water situation?
So they actually were on the ground today with WASA after the protests, and afterwards we saw a notice come out without scheduling times. There were actually water trucks being deployed to assist in getting water to various homes. There was still a little bit of challenges for those who live up on the hills with the trucks not being able to reach their tanks. However, since then, the water connection has been restored, but some people are still experiencing very low water pressure and some none at this point in time.
Understood. And tell us a bit about what are some of the long-term solutions that parents are looking forward to. What are some of the conversations surrounding that? Were any major promises made for how that water shortage in Castara would be improved over time?
So I think what we are looking forward is just a reliable water supply, not just water, but electricity as well. We just need a bit of reliability from the public utility service providers, and it would sort of bring a feeling of comfort to us. And I think that once as this happens, everyone would feel a bit safe and secure.
Understood. And even as a young person, we have a lot of students living in the area who have to go to school on a daily basis. How have they been coping? And what are some of the mechanisms that have been put in place before the water trucks came in? How were they surviving this water situation?
So it's very hard. It's very hard for them. Some of them, parents most likely would have to take their uniforms to laundromats. Some of them even had to go back to the olden days where, people had to go to the river to get their clothes cleaned.
Wow. I think, for a lot of persons throughout the rest of Tobago, they were truly not aware of the severity of the water shortage situation in Castara. Now, water has been a challenge throughout the island. In many areas, you hear persons talking about the fact that there are many days in the week where they are unable to get direct water supply from their pipelines, and often are depending on those water tanks and their pumps to survive throughout the week. But it seems that the situation was much more severe in Castara. Is it that you guys were not having water scheduled to Castara before this schedule was released yesterday?
I wouldn't say it was a fixed schedule, but after being around for quite some time, you could always think about, the times that they've sent it before, or probably just think about, well, I feel like we'll get some water tonight, or I see the water operator locking this valve, or wherever the case may be. So we always sort of had an idea of when there would be water if there weren't any issues.
Right. And is it that the people of Castara have felt abandoned or neglected by the Water and Sewage Authority?
I would say so. Upon making a few calls yesterday, I didn't make the calls personally, but, information gets passed on. We heard that the Water and Sewage Authority, they had no backhoe to do the work that they needed to get done. And, after the protest yesterday morning, they said that they got assistance from the THA, which I think, people going 2 weeks without water for something as simple as a backhoe, it's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, and I believe a number of persons would agree with you. And sometimes just the fact that that protest took place yesterday, persons understand the severity of the challenges being faced by persons within the community. Moving forward, the residents, do you think that this situation would have allowed them to kind of come together to have one voice and make a stand pertaining to the struggles that have been faced by members of the community for such a long time as it pertains to water? And do you think this would build a stronger community moving forward within the area?
It definitely would build a strong community. A lot of people had mixed opinions on the protests yesterday morning. Now, it is something I probably won't fully support, but at the same time, who in the kitchen does feel the heat. And because you never know if someone may have an emergency, someone may have a flight to catch. But I could say that, after their protests, our voices were surely heard. And those who protested, they didn't protest for water for them only. It's for the entire village. So at some point, I actually had to understand and stand behind them in a sense. But it definitely would build a stronger community in going forward. And as long as the water issue is rectified and scheduled properly, then we'd sort of have a bit of trust in the authority again.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much for giving us a bit of a perspective on what has happened in Castara yesterday and what are some of the solutions that were proposed moving forward. And we look forward to more reliable and consistent utilities within that area. As you highlighted, that water is one aspect of the struggle that is usually faced in this community. It's oftentimes electricity shortage or that inconsistent supply. So again, we're calling on the authorities this morning to do what they ought to do to ensure that there is a consistent supply of those much needed utilities in that area. Again, Giovanni, thank you for being here with us this morning, and we wish the persons living in the Castara area all the best moving forward as the authorities try to fix this water supply with the scheduled water distribution that has been published. We hope that that is actually reliable and that on the days that they say water would be coming, that there's actually water in the pipes for the persons who are expecting it. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a quick break right here and we'll be back with much more conversations after this. See you soon.
To wake up and hear my neighbor, 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. Every loan wants to prove more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans. Let your goals grow. Whoa. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice.
Are you ready, Tobago, for the BHS Centennial Raffle Live Draw? 10 amazing prizes, one unforgettable evening. Join us this Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. live on the Rotunda at the Esplanade in Tobago. Catch the action live on Tobago Updates wherever you are. Who will take home the grand prize? It could be you.
Trinidad is my home, and I always say charity begins at home. So I'm just delighted to bring this team of dedicated volunteers. Part of our motto is that we just don't send relief. We hand deliver it with care and compassion. And as I would always tell my team, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
As the Tobago House of Assembly prepares for Budget 2027, the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy is engaging key stakeholders through a series of targeted consultations. Led by Secretary Councillor Petalon Roberts and Assistant Secretary Assembly Member Colonel Alexis, these discussions bring together voices from critical sectors to help shape Tobago's development priorities. From finance to tourism, youth to labor, agriculture to construction, these engagements are focused on gathering the insights needed to drive informed strategic decision-making. The division will also provide an online platform for other groups and the wider community to have their say. Consultation period runs from April 20th to May 5th, 2026. For further information, contact 635-1203. Building a stronger Tobago through collaboration, insight, and purposeful planning.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, I did promise you that this morning I will be speaking to Councillor Petalon Roberts, and we have her here with us on set. This morning we're still talking about the budget consultations for the fiscal year 2026-2027. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel. Morning, viewers, and thank you very much for having me.
Right, so we've seen you on social media having those consultations. We've seen those links and QR codes being circulated everywhere for persons in Tobago to have their contribution on the upcoming budget presentation for Tobago. Tell us a bit about how that has been going.
That has been very successful so far, very impactful, interactive. We are hearing from the stakeholders. I'm very, very heartened for that. They've been coming out. And even if they don't have an opportunity to come out physically, they can go on the online platform and share their views. So far, we have had conversations with the youth and civil society, the agricultural sector, banks and financial institutions, cooperatives, and credit unions. So far it has been going extremely well. But I just want to continue the conversations, because sometimes the time frame in which we have these conversations may never even be enough to discuss all the things concerning Tobago for each of the stakeholders. So I encourage persons to go out and use the online platform to share their views, share their concerns, share their recommendations with us. It's a people-focused, people-centered budget. Right. This is the Tobago People's Party. The government is Tobago People's Party, so therefore we represent what we are doing. We are representing the people in all that we do.
Right. And what I would like to do is possibly ask my producer if they can share the link in the comment section for the persons that are watching us here live on Facebook, so that they can be a part of submitting their opinions and comments as it pertains to the budget consultation. So we would be sure to share that on our Tobago updates page so that the public has the opportunity to be a part of that if they already have not been able to submit. It's quite important for you to have your say as it pertains to Tobago's development, and of course in alignment with the overall agenda as it pertains to the blueprint, the
2026 to 2030 blueprint is actually a 4-year plan, and it actually came out of the strategic development planning pathway, which is our 20-year plan. So we have broken it into 5 4-year periods, and those plans are really the medium-term framework, strategic framework for Tobago. So I want to encourage persons to also look at the blueprint, review the blueprint, because the blueprint is really the Bible for the next 4 years. That's what we will be basing our development and actually on the development trajectory for Tobago. That is the pathway we're going to use, that's the document we're going to use. And I want to encourage persons to go to www.tppblueprint.com. www.tppblueprint.com, and we have 21 agenda priority areas or items, and those 21, that is within the next 20 years. So obviously we wouldn't, I want to say, attack all 21, but there will be priority areas because of what is happening in the environment, what is happening in the space, what's happening in the economy. We are a very vulnerable economy because we depend on the central government basically for all our resources, and that those are the financial resources for the Tobago House of Assembly. But we are building out, as part of the pathway, part of our blueprint, a Tobago Development Fund that will help us to get into other markets and get investments so that we can address Tobago's agenda aggressively.
Understood. And, you know, luckily for me, I get to have these conversations with you. So I get to put plugs in as well. So I want to also put in a plug for, you know, that level of inclusion and diversity, specifically as it pertains to special needs children.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You know, that's a huge area, especially when we look at the neurodivergent group of students that don't necessarily have access to the quality of education and educational tools that are needed to help advance or give that equal access to education on the island. You know, we see a situation where we have the school for the deaf. You know, we have the special needs school, but it's mainly focused on students who have suffer with Down syndrome or hearing loss or, you know, those other types of disabilities. But we have students that are on the spectrum that suffer with, you know, ADHD or autism, and those students require a different approach to learning. And there are many parents who have students like this or children like this, but, you know, they don't have access to pay for the private or specialized care. And I think it's really important for us to focus, because the blueprint speaks to that inclusion. It speaks to that. But when we look at what's happening outside, we see these students are thriving.
That's right.
And we want to level the playing field. How do we do that moving forward?
Well, as Secretary of Finance, I don't want to delve too much into the policies on that, but I could give you broadly what we intend to do. So one of the priorities, especially in this year as well, is the build out of a facility for the differently able. That's one. So 2 things we're doing. We're looking at a facility that will treat with their needs, and also build out an inclusive society in terms of our schooling. So those are the 2 priority areas. The blueprint, one of our development agenda priorities, does speak to including all persons in society and ensuring that they do have a quality life. So those are some of the areas we want to look at. As a matter of fact, the budget consultations was supposed to end on the 5th. I've extended it because I need to speak to the differently able. I've had several things happening that have caused the dates to shift Tomorrow we were going to meet with the labor and trade union, the Labor Society and all the trade unions that are operating here in Tobago actively. But I had to shift. It's May 1st, it's May Day. That's one. And then we have a very special sitting of the Executive Council tomorrow. So I would just want to let the public know, those persons that are in that stakeholder sector, that we are shifting the stakeholder consultation to May 13th. Okay. So the next consultation is on May 5th, and that's with the creative sector and tourism sector, as well as business and construction industry. So we have a morning session, tourism and the creative sector on the 5th, the 10 a.m. And then from about 4 p.m. we will meet with the construction sector. I allow them to go to work and then come in after and then have the discussions. On May 13th, though, I have shifted tomorrow's consultation to the morning period on the 13th, and then in the afternoon I speak with all the societies, all the organizations that deal with the differently abled, autism, Down syndrome, blind, paralytic, all the organizations, all representatives. You can come to the Division of Finance. Even I want to even see getting into the Division of Finance if there are difficulties for these persons.
Right. So and this is on the 14th of May?
No, the 13th
the 13th
of May. The 13th of May.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. I like the fact that you have thought about inclusion, because in order for us to progress as a society, we cannot progress and leave any particular group behind. So tell us a bit about some of the ideas that have been coming out of these consultations, and how would the Assembly move forward in actioning it or prioritizing it or placing it under the agenda of the different divisions?
The good thing is that most of what came out are part of the action item, the key focus areas in the blueprint. So we aligned what came to the fore to the items in the blueprint, and the good thing is there's nothing really outside of that. So for instance, those persons from youth and civil society spoke about the village councils, ensuring that it's well constituted, well supported. We have issues with how village councils are run. We want to standardize that, look at that. The youth and civil society also spoke about sporting and opportunities for youth. All of these things that came out are actually items in the blueprint. But what I really wanted to hear are the real life issues. Although we have it in the blueprint, it might be kind of generalized. But when we listen to them, they will tell us exactly what the issues are. And the good thing is most of the stakeholders came with solutions, because that's how we ran the consultations. We're not only coming to make noise and saying what the problems are, but we want to hear what are some of your possible solutions for these issues. The agriculture sector, what was good is that we had both sides, where some persons were indicating that the government wasn't doing enough in terms of providing lands, providing resources. And there were some stakeholders in the room that said, listen, I have done this on my own. The government gave me a piece of land and I have grown, I have scaled up. You know, so we had many instances where stakeholders in the room, agro-processors, persons doing livestock, are saying to us, this is what I have done, and showing themselves as an example to the others in the room. Because really and truly, the THA cannot do everything. I cannot provide the land, I cannot provide the labor, and I cannot provide the financial resources, because it really would be mine. But if you have to make it yours, we have to partner. So we really spoke on more collaboration. But they went really, really well. As I said, most of it are aligned to what we already have in the blueprint, but it was a little more specific and real life, the touch of what is happening on the ground.
All right. And tell us if there were any concerns that came up that really surprised you, or just anything that came up on a whole that may have took you for surprise or you weren't expecting.
Yeah, there are some things happening in the agriculture sector. Somebody brought up an issue of what is happening in the abattoir. I didn't know that. And I think as Secretary of Finance, but the secretaries with responsibilities for the different areas, they are also in the room, and it was addressed. You know, there are things that, there are policy directives that actually came out, policy plans that came out in the consultations to treat with some of the issues faced. But generally, I was not really surprised at some of the issues, because some of the things I even face them, you know,
Right.
and it's things that we must address head on.
Right. Persons often say that Tobago is not void of ideas. And you have been a part of the assembly for a long time.
Yeah, about 16, 17 years.
Even before
Yes.
becoming secretary. And we know that governments come, governments go. There has been a number of persons who have come to the fore with excellent ideas. But we have had a deficit where implementation is concerned.
Yes.
How do we move from having such brilliant ideas for how to improve tourism, how to improve education, how to improve, you know, Tobago's economic standing on a whole, and move into actual implementation and getting the work done?
Chanel, we have to take an all hands on deck approach. Many times, persons in this society look at the government as policymakers, executors, and it ends there. It actually is all of us. It takes every single one of us on this island to make this island the greatest little island on the planet. And unfortunately, many a time, we set the policies, and the real executors are not actioning it, maybe because the accountability framework in the government is not very aggressive. There are so many factors that affect the implementation of policy. But what I try to do is always encourage persons to look at the big picture and look at you being the change you want to see. Many times, I am watching you and you are watching me to implement, when we are the ones to take the action. And that is one of the major problems we have here in Tobago.
Understood. And even as you speak about everyone's individual role, I think that there are a number of persons who over the years have had those ideas. They've voiced them, they've submitted proposals, and they've gotten discouraged by the fact that it sends somebody say, okay, this is good, this is nice, all right. And it sits in somebody's drawer, it sits on someone's desk. You know, although it may not always be the exact time to implement, how do we keep persons energized to contribute to progress or to contribute to the blueprint or seeing Tobago advance, even if there's a situation where we don't have enough money to action every single idea, or it may not be the time for a particular idea? How do we keep persons hope
I would tell
alive?
persons, don't give up. Chanel, I'm in this assembly 17 years and I haven't given up. The fact that I'm here is because there are many things I've seen and known that are policy in the assembly and that they have just never been done. Even in the division of finance, there are things over the years we are trying. I'll give you an example. We are trying to digitize and modernize this assembly. And there are proposals, there are policy prescriptions that just never went anywhere. And I am not giving up. And I want to encourage persons to press on, continue, you know, reminding, because I'll tell you, even as Secretary of Finance, I cannot implement everything in, I'm only here 2 years. I can't. It's virtually impossible. And I tell people, give me a reminder. Some people I feel like if I'm bothering you, but no. On a daily basis, the amount of things we are dealing with, I could speak for myself, I need a nudge at times. So I want to encourage persons to not give up. I am not giving up. I'm going back to the minister. I've asked the Minister of Finance for a meeting. And I want to talk about advancing the IFMIS project again, because the IFMIS project is out of central government. I have to depend on the central government for the resources to give me the empowerment to do it. We have had the conversations, but the actions I'm still pressing. I have to continue to press for higher allocations. We have had the highest, and the conversation I will have to Minister Tanku is that we are not going below what we have received, right? And also there are projects that we just could not fund because our development program allocation was 200 million. And I'm going again to the Minister and say we need to find other modalities, financing modalities, to advance some of these major projects in Tobago. And a case in point is Scarborough Secondary School. That is on my agenda for discussion with the Minister. And the meeting should be, I told him, because I have consultations, it may be mid-May. I'd like it to be mid-May. So I gave him a window of availability to meet with him. Right, Scarborough being one, the budget 2027 is another agenda item. The operationalization operational readiness of the new airport terminal, free balance, and this IFMIS project. Those are agenda items for discussions with the minister. We want to discuss the media review. You are working in the Division of Education. Teachers' salaries had to be increased. We need more allocations to take care of the increase in the salaries, right? So I am not giving up.
Understood.
So I want to encourage persons, do not give up. Maybe you have sent in a proposal last year. Last year may not be the best time for implementation. We have to look at so many factors influencing what I do. The airport was not a priority project in November when I presented the budget. It's now a priority because the government has said, all right, we want to hand over the airport, and therefore we as a government, we have to get it operationalized, right?
So they are handing over the airport to the Ministry of Transportation?
To the Airports Authority.
All right.
So we have to now ensure that it is ready for you and I to travel in the new airport. So the priority shift, government is dynamic, it's fluid, it's always changing. So I just want to encourage persons, don't give up. You brought a proposal before, bring it back again. You might have another secretary, you might have a new secretary. We had some shifts, we had some changes in administrators. Bring your proposals back, bring your plans, and that's why the budget consultations remain open. And the consultations, the online platform closes on May 20th because there's a window I have to close because I have to start to write the budget. So I can't have our comments going. I may go into another week because the budget is in June. So I have to cut off and I have to review and analyze the submissions and see if I can incorporate them into the policies for 2027.
Understood. Even as we round off our discussion this morning, Secretary, I want to speak candidly in asking, what is happening in Tobago that is causing so many businesses to go under or to fold up? You know, I saw recently that one of the major entities that were at the Gulf City Mall has moved, and I see the bank closing in on a number of other indigenous Tobago businesses. What is happening on the island? And I know that the THA cannot be responsible for all businesses, but what is happening and what are we doing to move towards a place of helping to stabilize some of the businesses that are on the island?
Well, if you look at what is happening in the globe, there is some destabilization. What is happening in Iran, what's happening in Cuba, what's happening in the US. And we are a vulnerable society, and therefore we are affected by what is happening outside. We depend solely on those first world countries on the outside for energy, food, and if oil prices go up because of some negative activity outside, we are affected. So the cost of living is extremely high. The buying power is even lower. And I think that those are some of the factors affecting businesses. I think also, though, as Secretary of Finance, I'm looking at persons going into business. I don't think market research is being done in the Tobago space. It's 60,000 people to try to satisfy a demand or even supply a demand that is really not real. That's one. Businesses are not being consistent. I've done spot visits at we have 5 micro centers in across Division of Finance, and most of them are not open. They have maybe a government job or another job, and then they open in the afternoon. And that unpredictability actually causes consumers to not want to buy because they're not sure if you're open. Because if I come to your business place, Chanel, and I come Monday at 10 a.m., you're closed. I come back Tuesday at 2, you're closed. But you're open on Wednesday at 8 a.m. Most likely on Wednesday, I will not return. I will look for an alternative. Another issue I must also raise is that our businesses are not scaling up and trying to get regional and get outside and try to be export ready. They're trying to satisfy the 60,000, not even to intranet ad. So we have to think bigger, think global, don't think within the confines of this 116 square miles. We really have to do business on a larger scale and think on a larger scale.
Understood. Even as we close off this morning and the consultations are still taking place, the next one being on the 5th of May, it's important to remind our audience of how they can be a part of these consultations. I put the link in the comment section on Facebook for you. We'll have our team at Tobago Updates also recirculate that link on our social media page. You can go to the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy on Facebook and get the link there. But how else can persons be a part of these consultations? Just a reminder.
Well, there are the two modes of consultation. My office is open if you are a stakeholder and you think that I need to know, or you have a view that is worth, me hearing. I am open. My office is at Victor E. Bruce Financial Complex, 3rd floor. So we have invited stakeholders on specific days. We have the online, and I'm open to the suggestions.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for looking on this morning. And we want to remind persons of what is happening this morning, actually. And this morning, there's the Cultural Parade and Ordnance Unveiling at the Main Ridge Orientation Center, which is a cultural parade and a ceremonial unveiling of a replica of the historic 1776 ordinance that established the Main Ridge Forest as a forest, that established the Main Ridge Forest Reserve. This is being done by the Division of the Environment, and this morning that procession is happening there. So if you see any type of traffic disruptions happening in that area, this is exactly what is happening. They are celebrating 250 years of the rainforest being a protected space. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Just a reminder that Tobago is a beautiful island, and as we celebrate that 250 years, we look forward to that successful celebration. To you, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day.
It's a brand